Hey, so today we're going to look at creating some Jason Carter inspired art. Jason Carter is an artist from Alberta, and he creates some really cool landscapes and has things with wildlife, and he's a carver and has co-authored some more, done illustrations for a kid's book. So he's done a lot of cool things, and it's some art that's something we can do just here in Google Slides. And today we're going to be kind of tracing and seeing how he does it, and hopefully we can go and improvise a little bit afterwards. So some of the things you need. Um, I use an extension called Colorzilla, and that's in the Chrome Web Store, and that's what I use to pick colors from different places. I have the image that we're kind of tracing both on the side for reference, and then I'll have it right on the art itself so we can trace over top of it. We're going to be using a few of the tools that you really need to know, and one of the most important ones is Control Alt minus and plus. So Control Alt plus zooms way in, Control Alt minus zooms way out, and then Control Alt square bracket that's right next to the letter P brings you back to fit. So when I'm doing these, I often zoom in and then I use my mouse pad with two fingers to zoom side to side and kind of move my art around because you need to get down close to this stuff. So that's the zooming in. We're going to start with what's called the polyline tool, and that is down here, and we're going to actually make closed shapes. You might want to practice with this. Hopefully, if you saw some of the other lessons that are on the Engaging Students website I've created, you can see how to practice. I have some cool Among Us art and things like that, but you need to know how to go through and connect these shapes to make a solid shape with that polyline tool. That is essential, and it might get frustrating at first. You might start doing it and you get a line. You just have to backspace. Or you might want to do something and you're stuck to it and you can't get rid of it. That's the escape key. So zooming in and out and using the polyline tool. Now, a lot of these shapes here, they have this nice bold black outline. That's one of the distinctive things about Jason Carter that's different from other artists, is he has these nice, cool, kind of abstract-ish, bold black outlines to these shapes. And then the shades and the tints are what gives it the depth. So to do that, we have to make sure that when we're using our shape, we give it a nice thick border. And I found that 8 point was about right for this. So I'm going to get started tracing some of these. And the things you have to remember with this is you have to do from the back to the front so that it is layered, because this is a lot of depth, this painting right here. So we got to make sure that we have it layered. We don't start at the bottom because then things will be very, very messed up. To start the thing that's the farthest away and work your way forward. So I'm going to go ahead and start just tracing these shapes. I'm not going to color them yet. I'm just going to do them black and white, or I think it's gray. And the way you do it with this is a click and a move and click and move and click and move. And you have to make sure you go back to where you started and it snaps back. This is my border weight. Make sure it's 8. You can see it's this gray right now. I want it to be black. You can keep the inside kind of gray like that for the moment. Now here's a cool trick. If you have a shape selected and then you go, so you have the box that's around it, the blue box, if you go to the polyline now, it'll keep that exact same formatting, meaning it'll keep the same border and color. So that's an important little thing there. And unfortunately I have to keep clicking on the shape. So I'm going to go and just keep on doing this with these shapes. If you ever kind of think, oh, I don't like where that line is, you can just double click and you get those anchor points. You just move them. Click and move and click and move and click and move and click. And I'm kind of zoomed in. If you want to go, oh, I wonder what this looks like, you can zoom out. Just see how you're doing. So I'm going to keep going. We're going to be using this polyline up until we get to the green. And then I'm going to use the curve tool because it's a little bit different. So I'm going to speed this up. I'm going to finish my mountains in the back just with the shapes. And I'll talk to you again when that's done. Okay, so now that I have the mountains done, I have gone in and I've used my color picker to actually pick the colors. I noticed I think I'm missing one of these shapes. So I've used a color picker, and then I've gone to the actual painting, and I've picked that color, and then copied and pasted it by going to the shape and clicking the paint can, going to custom, and pasting that in there. That's how I got these shapes in there. So I put some shapes that have each of the different colors. You'll notice there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different colors here. I guess I should have one more. Because I only see 5. Okay, well, I'll do it as I go. Now, I want to paint all of these ones here. So I'm going to use this. This is an awesome tool. You click twice, and boom. And now I'm just going to paint all these shapes the exact same color. If it ever gets the wrong one, remember, undo is your friend on here. Cool. And then the next one is a slightly lighter one. Still pretty dark. Oh, I think, see here, I gotta zoom in. That one. Just those ones. Perfect. This guy. Awesome. And then this light one. Click twice and paint. Okay. Seeing if I missed any. I think we're pretty good. Okay, now the next shape I'm going to do is the green. And I'm not going to use the polyline. Now I'm going to use the curve tool. And I did put a frame on here. The frame is it's hidden in behind right now. So in the end, we'll Control Shift, move that frame up. Control Shift down. Right now it's at the very back. Okay, so I'm going to use the curve tool. One of the reasons I put the frame in there because the curve tool is not a sharp edge, and I don't want the kind of blobby edge to stick over the side. So this is very similar, except that you don't have quite as much control, but it looks more curvy. I'm going to go up here and down and down and up and up and click and click. Yeah. Now this was the color. Boop. And I'll do a couple more of those. This one I'll actually hold it in my palette. And notice I'm going right along the previous lines, right? The lake, I'm going to leave. That's going to be the background, so don't mess with the lake yet. Going down around. Oh, yeah. And there are some of these that go across. Cool. Boop. And one more right here. Oop. You ever miss it? Just paint format tool. Boop. Nice. And there's one green shape that's kind of hidden. Super. Okay, you'll notice we've covered up the bear, but that's okay. Now, I did make a tree, and this, I just made two shapes and the shades, one darker green, and then I grouped them together. So I went to the grouping and I grouped them. So you can just Control D, duplicate my tree, kind of pop it down where it belongs. Control D, make sure they're grouped, and then you could stretch it out. Maybe Alt Shift, move to the side a little bit, and Control down, move to the right spot. Right. You can Control Alt J would move it too. So this might be a little bit challenging. So stretching these out, Alt Shift, rotate it a little bit. Control Alt J makes things smaller. Control Alt K makes them bigger. And Control down moves them down in the stack. Oop. So I'm going to Control D, duplicate that tree. Oh, I only got one half of it. Control D. And I'm going to Control down. I want it behind that tree and that tree too. Perfect. Maybe I'll make it a little tall and skinny. Doesn't have to be perfect. You could even move the sides in and shrink them. And you can make your forest unique. Happy little accidents. Control D, 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 D. I'm kind of looking at the thumbnail on the side just to see what I should do. Oh, I don't want that lined up perfectly. Move it off a little bit. Oh. Maybe this guy can get a little smaller. Aim it that way a little bit. Ha. Oh. Oh, lost my window. And I think there was one more. Control D. I'm struggling. And I don't mind showing when I struggle too. That's going to happen. Okay, we're pretty good. I think we are ready for the bear. Now what I'm actually going to do, I'm going to go to the side. I'm going to trace this guy right here. Use the curve tool. And I did give you some bear colors. Curve tool, moving over. Unfortunately, you can't really make the same kind of lines that are there. So you're just doing the outline. Getting the bear, 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 bear. And back over and back over. And I'm clicking just because the curve tool can get kind of weird. Boom. Ha, looks kind of funny right now. Definitely need some ears. Moving them over with the arrow keys. Zoom, zoom, zoom. And it was a slightly darker shade. Twice. Boom. Boom. Okay, we are getting really close. Huh, did I do it on the wrong one? Whoopsies, I did. It's okay. Control, oops, Control, use Control and select all three. Control X is cut. Go back to the right slide, Control V. There we go. Paste it in. And if I don't think my bear is kind of chubby enough, I can, change some of these lines. Move it out. You can always adjust a little bit. Yeah, it's looking pretty good. Now, I'm going to actually backspace. I've gotten rid of the painting. My frame went to a crazy color. There we go. That's good for a frame color. I'm going to Control Shift up, move it to the top. So you notice the background is totally white right now. I'm going to change this with a gradient. So I'm going to go background, and I'm going to choose a color and a gradient, and I'm going to go custom. And this is where you can add, and you can decide how you want this. So maybe I want this one to be dark blue. That's going to be the sky. No, I don't want that. I want this one to be, so this is the top in this case. There. Maybe I'll see how this looks with a white, and this one with, let's just see. It's not bad. So the sky's okay. The water is just a little bit kind of grayish. So I'm going to go back into there and go custom again. And I am going to adjust this. We can move this up. You could even add another one if you wanted some different colors in here, or you could change what those are. I don't know if I still love it. I like my other one better. Background. I'll try it one more time. And just play with this. That was darker. This doesn't even have to be white. That's not bad. Before when I did it, it was a little bit more blue. Let's look at what I did for this one. So this one I had 4. You can see, yeah, I kind of like how I did this one. So whichever way you do it, it's up to you. It still looks pretty good. It's kind of like gray water, like it's ice. Okay, so pretty much that is all. You can leave the colors like this, or you could go in and get your own color scheme and play with it. You can make the colors whatever color you wanted for these mountains and for everything else. So you can make it a black bear. So go ahead and play, make it your own. That's basically how you would do that art.